Gosh, that's loud. Stream, huh? See how it goes. Wow, it's fluffy. Hi there. There we go. You weren't expecting me, huh? Sunday of all times for me to go live. I know. I'm supposed to be streaming tomorrow, but alas, hello, Fluffy, Blue. Everybody else was joining. Interesting. Where is it? There it is. Now, hold on. I was playing around with the angles. I don't remember how I set it up. So one is here, there. Second one is here. Fly, pan, straight. There we go. I forgot it's Sunday. I gotta leave and go to work in 20 minutes. Well, make sure you don't miss your work. So hi, Litz. Been a while. How are you? Let me guess. You're in your Minecraft phase of things still. Hello, Pebble. Evident Night. I'm doing okay. I was debating between, well, spending time trying to train my social battery over at the furry hideout, or practicing my cinematography. I needed to make sure that I can still make pretty interesting shots. Yeah. Alright, now, what's your question? I am in work phase and packing Christmas presents. I see, that explains the absence. I see you maybe once every 2 weeks, Liz. Aside from streams. Lux C. Bit of a hard pronunciation there. Thank you. I appreciate the support. Now, Evident Night Ghost asks, what made you get into VR chat and streaming? Was it a certain event? I don't know. A factor of that would probably be to maybe make friends. Second, what did push me to streaming? I could have sworn this was a question asked before, multiple times. What could it be? I do like being able to work on things that I can showcase. Little tweaks here and there. Third, I've always had a knack for theatrics. So why not put it to good use, right? Third or fourth, I don't remember. Lost my train of thought. This place makes you drone a lot. How should I explain it? Makes me think, makes me contemplate, like, it's strange. Alas. Did you know that the music is part of the world? Very fitting, mysterious. What is my pin 3? I am in a anomalous gas station. I don't know, middle of nowhere. It's pretty empty here. Snow and whatnot. The pumps are over there. So yeah. Hi. Hello, Norn. Pleasure. This is a shocker. What's good, Cam? I'm doing okay, Mystic. Are you trying to watch me with your head tilted this way? To make this angle more effective, let's tilt. Right. Tilt and then make it lower. There we go. Dramatic. An eerie gas station, yes. I can't promise my stream today will be as long as usual, but alas. We are alive. Let's see how long this persists. I was at the furry hideout prior to here for a grand total of 10 minutes. What's this? I mean, your voice itself is very soothing and relaxing. I love the tone, the ambience of the world, and the music you choose to do the streams. But the one thing I love the most about your stream is being able to relax after a long and stressful day with family events, especially Christmas. Well, Christmas can be a bit of a hit or miss. I always try to make it a hit, whether I'm with somebody or not. Sometimes you want to celebrate holidays in ways we are unable to. We are unable to because we are often expected to be this and that when we're with other people, family especially. So yeah. Now I'm turning the question back to you, Mystic. How are you doing? What's new? Unfortunate. And yes, I'm streaming quite early. I'm glad to be heading home today, says Axiom. Gonna be in VR chat soon when I see. Wouldn't want to miss out on the little meetings we hold. Hold on, I'll look at my thumbnail. It's lovely. And this looks like a promising scene. After never-ending, exhausting, and mind-breaking trials, you finally achieved your goal, caught the person you've been after all these years. Now you stand above them in triumph, but also in sadness that it's finally over. A bit of a somber mood, I see. I can totally visualize what you've just typed. Love, Leslie. The vibe will change a whole lot once I turn off the music, you know. Mystic says, this is my usual time of communicating strictly in Japanese. I was playing big earlier with friends to work on my speech more. What better opportunity to practice a language you wish to learn than when you're playing with friends? Smart. Normally just read, transcribe, and whatnot. Yes. But when it's reactionary, it's befitting of the scene. It sort of becomes easier. Also, yeah, I am curious about how this time slot works. 3 hours earlier than usual. I wonder. So this would be around, assuming it's daylight saving time, 9 a.m. for the people in the United States. For Asia, the people should very much be awake, given that most of us are night owls. And or Europe. Oh, probably a bad time. What? 2 a.m. 3? No. Yeah. No, it's p.m., right? 3 p.m. It's actually not bad. Middle was Sunday, though. When was the next meetup going to be? There was one yesterday, there was one the day before that. All they gotta do is look if I go online and whatnot. We are friends on VR chat, right? You can also send me a DM, you know. Sort of becomes more spontaneous. I don't know. Me planning meetups is kind of eh. If it happens, it happens. It has a lot that sticks like muscle memory to me, right? Application. Well, go prepare for work, Blue. I wonder, will it be better if I swap sides in my lighting? So from 71 here. Any good? Yeah, so the previous meetup wasn't really in a place to be there. What do you mean? Expound. I don't quite understand. See schedules per chance. I noticed the little Gebu on your gold bar. It's too cute. I'm trying to not to make him too distracting. But he is there for a reason, right? He's going to disappear by the end of this year. You see this fundraiser of mine? If it doesn't get met, it's okay. It's not going to carry over to January. Business as usual. But while it's still Christmas season, well, he's there to advertise. Yeah. 13 minutes. I see. Also, let's see how long I can hold out standing this time. I have been hearing comments about camp. All you do is sit down, right? I've been busy with work and other stuff. Understandable. I can't blame you if you move on to different pastures. As with any viewer that comes to a streamer, they can only keep the people's attention for so long. Hello, Brooke. I saw you with a different name on Discord. What was that? Unless I was seeing things, I could have sworn it was you, though. Color me curious. Am I still logged in on TikTok Studio? No. I deleted it. Right. I think I've got my route planned for the 12-hour drive back. Half a day, huh? Not an easy thing to do. Driving for 12 hours. Makes me glad, Liz. You had me worried for a moment. Imagine Liz being tired. Oh. Not cool enough for Miss Cool. I'm gonna make a stop halfway and recharge, just like in this gas station. Yes. I'm always tired, but not in that way. Yes. So spot on with my impressions on the Discord. I'm so tired. I'm just here because I can offer you a tiny, teeny bit of my energy that's remaining. I was the furry hideout. I was there for 10 minutes. And as I mentioned before, if you don't go there with a group, your social battery depletes 30 times faster. Just. Yep, that's it. Oh, man. We've also finally finished a new kitchen by like 95%. Congratulations. You can cook more fried rice. Oh no, Fruit Dragon, I'm streaming at the moment. My goodness. One of the few oddballs that have popcorn ready in the furry hideout. It was a full almost a full instance earlier. There was 54 people. I wonder how it is there. Seeing the crowds all huddled up. I was there the other day. It was really nice. The people weren't so bad. Probably because I was with friends, and then I bumped into some other older friends along the way. I would dare say it was a pleasant experience. Lots of cute avatars there too, ones I haven't seen before. I said, if I am unable to go out and see new sights because I don't have a motorcycle yet, what if I do it in VR chat? I meet new people here, go to new environments, immerse myself, move outside of my comfort zone, right? As I was telling Dorian, I believe, or was it Striker, I'm draining my social battery by immersing myself in public instances once that are crowded. It makes me learn how to tolerate people more. Difficult, I know. You going into the furry hideout is equivalent to you making yourself immune to any poison. I try. Gabos live on a Sunday. Yes, Art. Hello. Instead of burning my time just idling about in the furry hideout without any company, I figured I'd rather go live. Why not? Send you a pic of the kitchen. Sure. Let's see how it is. Now let's go to Discord. Just missing some lining and a bit of decor. My goodness, will you look at that? You even have a ventilation tube. A fridge that is clearly expensive for it has an ice dispenser. I wonder what the one on the right is for. Quick access to the side pantry. Very nice. My kitchen is nowhere near as spacious. Glad you got your kitchen sorted, Liz. Or Gab, yes, good. Hello, Kia. I don't think I'll ever be immune to poison mystic. Tolerant, resistant, probably, but the display of idiocy by most people still really gets under my skin. Especially once I read the bios and everything. Self-diagnosed this and that. Ah, right. Thanks. A person to avoid. You sound cute and all, but I can clearly hear the tone of mental instability wrought between your words. Mm-mm. And then there's the funny ones. Yesterday, there was a guy playing the accordion. That was really nice. Mystic's challenge for Gib. Survive public furry hideout for 30 minutes. Yes, I know this is maddening. I was in the furry hideout for 3 hours straight. Yesterday, I believe. Right? So, where's my medal? Well, of course, I would only go to the age-gated instances, not the ones that had the carryovers from the unmoderated ones. Gosh. Squeakers, 12-year-old trolls. You know, the ones that are plentiful. I was with Fluffy, I was with Doran, I was with Axel, I was with Howler. Am I missing someone? It was 5 of us. Was it a group or straight up public? It was a group plus public, I forget. It was, I don't remember, something puppy love, I think. Striker, right, Striker. Striker has yet to leave an impression on me. I just know he exists. I just don't know how or what he exists as. Maybe give it some time. It's taking me slower than usual to digest his persona. Need to travel in a group for safety in such places, yes. We're wishing you could hop on, R. That was quite the experience. But alas, understandable scientist things to attend to. Hello, Sugar Cat. Don't worry, I got my 8 hours plus of sleep. The only time you go in public is when I'm there, says Mystic. Not sure if you pay attention to what instance I be in at times. Yes, will keep a mental note of that. I hope you're there more often. May I get you a hot chocolate to help you? Of course. Wow, hot chocolate's nice. Just don't spike it with anything. I'll know. Gosh. I think in 71 is better. There we go, this angle's usable again. Wasn't expecting for you to be streaming this early, right? I'm streaming a day and a couple of hours earlier. I was in VR chat with Fluffy and, well, surprisingly Mitzi. I dropped by to say hello. Mecha even popped by. 30 minutes passed and, well, I dropped by the furry hideout to see how things are. And after things depleted rather quickly, Vesper, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna look for worlds in which I could stream at. And I said, this one works. Has this otherworldly vibe to it. And alas, live, here I am. Good morning. Brooklyn can wait, Ves. We can just play when you get home from work. Also, if I'm streaming here on the 21st, I will be streaming again on the 23rd. Yes. I'll try my best to stream on Christmas, and then after that, there's the hangout. I did promise after all. Are we gonna play Battle for Brooklyn? We played the first mission. Me and Matthew and Vesper. I suggest you guys do too, because I think you unlock a skill. The healing traps, if I remember correctly. But it necessitates you looking for SHD crates. We have yet to find a single one. I don't know where to get it. SHD, yes. Yes, I did it. Ah, okay. I actually really like Brooklyn. It has a very fall, autumn vibe to it. Alongside everything being burned, of course, thanks to the cleaners. What's this? Mystic is usually there for 1 to 3 hours, I see. Why, thanks for the 4 bits, Abroxir. Every little bit counts. Maybe think of today as an experimental stream. I'll just be playing the singular track until people say that, I can't take it. It's droning. It gives this unsettling mood. Vesper says, hopefully I won't be dead like I was yesterday. Honestly, felt bad I didn't seem to be at the best mood. Don't worry about it. We all have our bad days. Okay? So, you go. Take it easy this morning. Don't play. That's why I didn't bother waking you up, because I knew you needed the rest, Vesp. The fact that I giggled at that funny joke. Also notice how I'm streaming earlier than usual. A factor of at least 3 hours. I'm curious about the crowd that's gonna show up. If any at all, even. I will spike it with a dash of cinnamon. Acceptable. Cinnamon, huh? Who's lurking at this hour? Cyan Griffon, really? That fluffy cat. I really like Cyan Griffon's content on Twitter. Especially with that hairdryer. So I am looking at the lurkers. Anyway. Today, I'm digging the gas station at the end of the world vibes of this one. Right, doesn't it just set a mood? There's nothing left but this place. I'm so surprised there's light coming from these old, maybe ancient, I don't know. They don't look that old. But they're clearly still functional. It's a nice place. I don't mind. I can bring you guys here if you wish. Once you have free time again, right? Show you the sights to see, which is just actually plentiful. It's just snow and the concrete structure and probably non-functional pumps. Mildly abandoned. I don't know, maybe. Maybe if I keep on walking in one direction, right? I'm eventually gonna end up somewhere. Wow. Thanks, Fluffy. So, contributing to the miracle fund, huh? I appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing the famous sites of concrete structure. Wait a minute, is that tiny little animated gib by the tip bar new? That's adorable. Yes! He's there specifically to call your attention a little bit more as I'm trying to raise money until the end of the year. I don't want to carry this over to January and onwards. Like, I already ask for stuff monthly, right? Like, to keep afloat. It would be selfish of me if I were to have like double fundraisers. I don't want to do what other streamers do. But any and all gifts given for Gibbs little Christmas, Gibbs little year end, it would be appreciated. You don't have to completely. It's okay. This is courtesy of Yura. Yura, by the way. He's a fantastic artist. Yes, I made him purposely transparent so he's not that distracting. Yes, 3 streams old. The mood and music is lovely and relaxing. Right. Gosh, I had an ample amount of rest, but here I am yawning. Embarrassing. Where am I? Oh, it's a wall. 8:39 a.m. over at Vesper's place. You need to get some breakfast. What's this? Hello, what's this? Streaming out of the ordinary schedule. Blast me. Me reading Wask's message late. My gosh, my apologies. You see, Wask on the flip, no, on the other hand, is quickly growing on me. I don't know. It's the whole dog persona that is just played so well. It's adorable. So, times 3 experience. It's only been half an hour and I already want to sit down. I wonder, can I prop my little stool here? Nah, it's okay. It's a challenge. Oh my goodness, Moth. It's unfortunate that Vesper was there. Farewell. Thank you. Executed nice and cleanly. Now, who in his right mind would put their hand inside somebody else's mouth and do that? No, Vesper, you did a great job. Please, keep at it. That's what you're best at doing after all. Watching my back. Once I'm hungry, I will, says Vesper. Now I'm enjoying the warmth of my heated blanket. I see. If there's one thing I wish you could have by your station, is you could have a stool. Standing up for what, 6 hours straight, constantly beep, beep, beep. Mm-mm. Art says my parents worked in dentistry, which made me never want to deal with people's mouths ever. That's why I'm an advocate of always having nice dental hygiene, right? Ha, minty fresh, pearly white. Anybody with gross teeth or bad breath is, no. Gosh, I remember talking to an elderly person. I don't know if it's because they had dentures or whatnot, but they would have this aura of bad breath that just, mm-mm. I know they're not bad people, but is brushing your teeth such a difficult thing to do? That's not smoke coming out of your mouth. It's puffs of minty freshness. Exactly. You know, I wonder why the sensation of having mint is attributed to feeling soothing cold. Right. Is there a scientific explanation for that? I haven't Googled it yet. Right. Why does mint feel like being cold? Is there actually any cooling happening? I'll catch you later, Mystic. Good luck with your climbing and learning of the Japanese language. Thanks for dropping by. I think it's the mental. Mint triggers the right nerves. I mean, mental comes from mental crystals, right? I remember back then when I used to vape, I tried buying those DIY kits for making your own juice, right? And then I remember that I had this little container of mental crystals. Makes the body think it's cold. Ah. Hi there, Beth. Surprised to see you. Mint plants naturally contain a level of mental. I see. No wonder it's cold. It always has this wash of soothing chill over one's mouth or tongue or whenever you do the little rubs, right? Vesper says, yes, I love Christmas. Don't get me wrong. I just don't love the holiday rush working retail. Also, mint feels cold because of the mental triggers the TRPM8 protein in nerves to make it feel as such. TRPM8 proteins. Very scientific. I expected nothing less. Mental, huh? Before, when I used to smoke, yes, a period that existed for a very brief while, like maybe 2 months. My cigarette of choice was Philip Morris, the same one that Constantine would have. But don't smoke anymore, Chad. If you can help it, I would advise you don't. Hello, Sourland. Gosh, Vesper. So when you say the Christmas rush, is it the volume of people going through, or is it the volume of groceries per person that you have to contend with? Let me. Or is it the people volume? Minimum, maximum volume. Don't remember asking. Hello, Iron Wolf. You know, I'm surprised there are still a lot of people showing up despite me being 3 hours earlier than usual. But 1 day and 3 hours earlier than usual. Why is everything so ominous this morning? The background, probably. I don't know. Look at this place. It's desolate. It's eerie. It's completely empty. Aside from me, of course. I was gonna say I'm definitely more than 3 hours early. I have a bit of chores to do tomorrow, so I cannot promise I'm gonna go live. So maybe we can count the stream today as me being preemptively here. Totally has nothing to do with like fundraising or anything. Hence the enlarged bar and rewarded goal. You know, I just wanted the practice in cinematography. Yes. Why are you a bit rotated today? You know, you were one letter away from it being sounding mean. Why? Because I constantly want to improve my craft here. I want to practice. Gotta make it look good. Vesper says, the volume of people going through at once and the volume of groceries at the same time. It's a super center store. So groceries, toys, car accessories, gift cards, plants, etc. Nothing worse than smacking your hand on a mini cactus, according to a coworker. Add on the fact that some people straight up don't care that you shut your light off for a break or go home, and it drags things along. No, you just completely ignore them at that point. Waking up with the Gibbs stream on Sunday definitely isn't the worst way to start the day. Why, look at you with the flattery. Thanks, Art. Here, I was just telling chat about the little animation you made. Thank you. You know, hold on. Goodness, I launched Firefox again. No. What's Vesper says? I can't if I have to clear my line before I go on break sometimes. And then when I look up from all that scanning, someone has already got their card unloaded onto the bill. Then you just wait, you know? Just let them put the stuff on the belt and don't mind them. You have your light on for a break, correct? If people are going to be inconsiderate towards your rest times, you don't have to pay them any courtesy. That's simple. I believe that's what Vesper was pertaining to. But people just don't respect that. Alright, says I better get the ball rolling on a few things before I start getting behind on chores. I'll be back in a bit. Take it easy, Game. See you around, alright. You know, yesterday, when I was in the public instance, I saw a bunch of avatars that really caught my eye. It pays to expose yourself to new visual stimuli. Auditory, not so much. It was pretty overwhelming with all the chatting, the conversations going on. Thank goodness for VR chat's earmuff mode, right? So, seeing all the other abbeys that the people are using was very nice. Predominantly, it's all just publics, but publics still share the handcrafted touch by whoever uploaded them. And then I saw some of my friends with their own creations, right? Their own edits. And again, it was refreshing. Gives me so much ideas on things to improve, to work on. If I self-isolate just because I'm bothered by people, well, I'm not going to learn anything new, am I? So here I am trying to go out, at least in controlled doses. Maybe not every day, maybe not for long, but at least an effort is being made, right? And that's what matters. To those of you that have been with me in VR chat, the stream seems such a polar opposite to how I present myself, right? Ominous, mysterious, eerie. And then, the 12-year-old humor starts to come out inadvertently. Hello, Psych Hydra. Not a dragon, actually. This is called a Hydra G. I believe we're more lizard folk than anything. I lack the wings, I lack the horns. My anatomy has not granted me the traits of the greater species. So Gab, yesterday I spent about 3 hours baking. I made a red velvet cake, a spiced cake, and 2 loaves of pumpkin bread. Isn't red velvet simply recolored chocolate? Don't get me wrong, I love red velvet cheesecakes. It's delicious. Yes, Gab, the stream and the meetups are different. Exactly. A lizard is greater than a dragon is greater than Geb. Right? I'm at the bottom, I guess. Thanks, Fluffy. Too late. The damage has been done. Here, I'm gonna wrench, take the 13 bucks, just take it back. Fluffy, automatic. Automatic, what a catchy name. Girls, the way you film VR is absolutely beautiful. Never seen a streamer with such a pro look in VR. Why, thank you. I'm trying to practice. Always finding a way to refine the craft, per se. I think VRChat is severely underutilized when it comes to cinematography, especially when it's the lives. I've seen creators out there make fantastic things. Really fantastic things. But they're all pre recorded, post processed, spliced, and cut. But live, where the feed is raw, there's no edits, there's nothing you can omit. Well, that I don't see every day. Mighty Draong, I see. Okay. Whatever you say. My goodness! It seems I have impressed a certain chatterbox, none other than Fluffy Automatic, gifting subs. Thank you. I appreciate that. 5 subs goes a long way in the grand scheme of things. Geb in stream versus Geb in Discord is exactly that man lingerie mirror me. So this is the front, the camera sees, and then in the back it's just yes. Everyone likes raw content better, I think. It feels more real and interactive. It's in exchange for impromptu, not having any scripts. At least I don't have to do any editing and whatnot after. No, never mind. Scrap that. I do a little bit of editing whenever I I have to look at the VODs, right, of my streams, and then I have to see which particular segment I can trim down for social media post. Hello, Stratsky. Where's Cinder? Where's Bombard? Oh, how tempting it is to have a stool. Just place it here. Sit. Alas, no. I joined in on some serious yet exceptionally chill vibes. Exceptionally chill. There's nothing but snow, emptiness, and me, and whatever the heck that music's playing from. Yes, welcome. It's good to know we come as a unit, a Stratsky. Yes. Hello, Snowball. Bad life advice. What is it? Let me know. I gotta have a topic or context. Right, I should be facing here. There's chat's over there. Need yourself a button that saves a timestamp. Make it easier to know where stuff is when you want to click for social. Yeah. Don't worry, I have a volunteer that whenever they have free time, they check out my VODs and send me timestamps. They said if I can't support you financially, let me at least help you this way. King Biff. Well, hello, my lord. Wow, such reverence, such respect. Well, as one should. He is the demon king of the server, after all. We respect our elderly. The Demon King. or as I call him sometimes, Beef. Beth is the demon king of the Dark Knights, is he not? The Dark Knights, is that what the forces of evil are called? Hmm. Yep, you shall be respected too, old man. I mean, come on, Fluffy is only Fluffy years old. But still not as young as Axel. I still think Axel's the youngest in the server. He'll forever just be like 18 in a few months in my eyes. And Blue got him beat. I know. Fluffy is older, but the way he carries himself, a very young man. A hype chest. Oh, this is from the subs. Thank you. I got an emote. Vesper says she pokes fun, but doesn't mean that she's disrespectful to her friends. Right? Some people can take a joke. White Ironwood says that he honestly feels like he's the second oldest just next to Beth. How old, I wonder? Always thought that Nordex was the oldest of all in the server, being, well, a couple of decades older than most of the members. To be able to see the first light of color television, what a remarkable experience. Being disrespectful, but in a funny, non-serious way is great. Precisely. That's why my Instagram feed is full of humorous things. Humorous. It's a post that makes you appreciate life all the more. Reminds you to laugh at things. Hello, Grunty. Is that Grunty? Grunty. Grunty. Well, either people are in my house that shouldn't be, or people have woken up. Have a good rest of you. I'll see you around, Beth. Thanks for dropping by. I ever thought about getting your avatar a neon pocket watch? I think it would quite look stylish. Let's open. Is there such an asset? I imagine it would look rather dapper. But then again, I'm a big fan of wristwatches. I'm very much happy with what I have. Hello, Wolf Hunter. Wow, surprising number of you today. I guess this hour isn't so bad for me to go live. Funny, the vibe seems to change whenever Vesper is not here on stream. Things are more serious. No, this watch. You have it yet. Oh, there you have it. Why does it say 7522? Can anybody guess? Well, it's what, 17 o'clock in Europe, so good time to be watching. 5 o'clock? I'm sorry, I work with AM and PM. Five PM. It's 11:07 PM at the moment. 2 hours short of it hitting midnight. Yep, I know civilian and military time. It's just I never really use military time. Why? Because AM it's morning, PM it's evening. Well, no, it's like midday, past midday, sorry. Day, month, year, or month, day, year? Here it's month, day, and then year. Year, month, day is best. So, for example, 2000 December 25. Or it shouldn't be December 20 on the December 25th or the 25th of December 2005 or 2000. Right? What rolls off the tongue more? December 25th, 2005 or 25th of December 2005. 2005 on the 25th of December. I think the latter doesn't roll off one's tongue as smoothly compared to the first two. Month, day, and year, right? It just makes sense. Month, day, and year. May 25. Of course I'm not gonna tell you the year. May 25 though is a very special day. Nope. You know, Europe has different time zones too, says Linz, who's in Germany. That's true. The world is divided into little segments an hour apart, right? Do we have time zones that are 30 minutes apart? Waffle replies to Litz. I know, and West Europe is like 2 to 4 hours behind me, so kind of similar time zones. Close enough, right? Unlike me and Vesper, for example. Like Vesper, it's lunchtime here. What time is it there? Oh, it's only, well, it's 10 p.m. here. What? Wong, I see you've tried to join the Discord. Let's see if you can crack the password. I think Geb stares into our souls. Me? No, of course not. Why would I? Hmm. It's 9:11. Okay, okay, okay. Let's try something. See how the vibe is. Or you know what song this is. It's funny seeing how slow the snow can fall. Just being barely, barely adrift, but still captured by gravity. Most worlds, the snow falls really fast, but not here. It's nice. Oh, I absolutely know the meaning of that day, says Vesper. But I'll let chat figure that out. May 25. Ah, yes. The slow falling snow has a nice cozy feeling. It does, doesn't it? Here. What did I do during my last birthday? I don't remember. Do you remember, Vesper? Did I host a particular meetup or something? May, huh? Wow, that's. Who doesn't love a slow, heavy snowfall? I wish I could experience it at least once in my life. All I can do is imagine, pretend it's real. Assume it's like a itty bitty cloud that feels like shaved ice, just falling ever so slowly from the sky. Vesper goes, yeah, apparently I got things wrong. DST is not here. So it gets darker earlier, a default, and then later we jump forward an hour for daylight saving times in March again. What? Speaking of darker early, it's the winter solstice here in the States. The sun sets at 4:32 for us today. Gets dark pretty early, I see. Good luck getting home. Hopefully, you have a ride. Heavy snowfall. What a 30-minute walk home. In America. Triple careful. Vesper says on your last birthday, a meetup, I believe, cake and lasagna afterwards for you. Ah, the lasagnas. I remember now. Yeah. Before, part of my joke stream goals was to have a lasagna. It reached a point in which I had so much lasagnas, every weekend I would buy 2 trays of lasagna, right? Sometimes 3. That's when I was still streaming on TikTok because that was my stream goal. I had a little bar up. It's called the Lasagna Fund. I'd always fill up. I would buy said lasagna. I think I gained a pound or 2 after doing that whole stint for a month. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get fat if I keep this up. So I completely dropped it. It was flattering having people buy me food. But it's delicious though. Hard to admit it isn't. Iron Wolf says, I'm thinking of buying a flamethrower to help clear snow from my driveway. This snow gets bad again where I live. Flamethrower? Isn't salt is better? Just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Lasagna simply is the best. It's hard not to. It looks appealing, there's a lot of cheese. And then you just cut a nice little rectangular cube, put it on a plate, it's ready to eat, and nothing is wasted. I love food in which nothing is wasted. You can just eat it completely. Right? Lasagna, burgers, pizzas, as long as it's a stuffed crust, that is. Ironic. I love chicken. Fried chicken. But there's always the bone that remains. A flamethrower can melt snow fast, so I don't have to throw my back. Well, whatever works then. The one thing I'm not looking forward to is plowing snow. Plowing snow? Shoveling snow? Sorry. Man, it's so far away. It's the wall. There we go. No? Fluffy says, my grandpa used to use a propane torch to kill weeds. It was super effective. I see. I hope it did not damage the rest of the plants, though. Like the grass, for example. That's so cute. A friend of mine sent me some artwork. It looks absolutely adorable. There we go. Sorry, I was out in Discord. Nah, where was it? Be sure to salt it afterwards, and because it forms ice, you'll throw your back sleeping on it. Ah, true. The thin little sheet of barely any friction. Vesper goes. It's 9 hours and 10 minutes of sunlight today. A short sunlight day, especially in comparison to the summer solstice with 15 hours and 4 minutes of sunlight. 15 hours of sunlight? I mean, the sun rises here at what? Oh, 5 a.m.? You know, the roosters start doing their cockle-doodle-doos. You get up, have your morning coffee, breakfast, and then it sets at around 6, so 12 hours. Having 15 hours of light must be strange. Like, oh, nope, it's 8 p.m., there's still light here. You see, humanity has this knack of wanting to make things wireless, right? A flamethrower is simply wireless burning. It's like Wi-Fi, but for heat. Vesper says, equatorial countries versus someone who lives in a more northern place that isn't Canada. I did hear about certain countries having 6 months of summer or like day and then 6 months of night. Now that's what I call extreme. Then again, it would be nothing new to me. My living space does not grant me any form of visual recognition when it comes to day or night cycles, unless I specifically go outside into my balcony. I don't have any windows that let sunlight in. Damn. Are you currently resides? Yes, I am currently resides in the Philippines. I'm currently residing in the Philippines. Southeast Asia. Vesper says Alaska gets very little sunlight in comparison to where I live. Ah. I need to change my status in VR chat. Hold on. Streaming. There we go. So I had a bunch of friends ask from me. There's Fruit Dragon. I need to visit him again. There's Virionic V. I don't know if you're watching Twitch, but I'll catch you later. Go make your fried chicken, Iron Wolf. Nice breaded, crispy, delicious skin is always what's game for me. I did have chicken karage yesterday, now that I think about it. It's nice, boneless, tender chicken cooked the Japanese way with all sorts of savory sauces. I believe mine had a sweet and savory sesame based sauce alongside the usual teriyaki. Came in little containers. I would like a generous tablespoon or two each. I wish they would serve me more. I like my chicken with pour over sauces. A lot of it. You see, in KFC in the Philippines, right? We buy our chicken, it comes with rice. And then on the side, where you can get a spoon and forks, there is a gravy station. It's just a pump with all the gravy you could ever have. It's unlimited. What most people would do is bring their plates with the rice, right? And just whoosh, whoosh, until you end up with something akin to a soup. Kinda funny, actually. Five-minute break. Hope you don't mind. Oh, I might mariante my chicken. I know it's marinate. I might marinate my chicken in my homemade teriyaki before I fire it. Fry. Go ahead. Hard to go wrong with teriyaki sauce. Make sure there's a lot of ginger in it. Ah. Nice, rich, thick teriyaki sauce. You know, it like strings. Sometimes people cook teriyaki sauce in a way I'm not a big fan of. And that's where it ends up like a gravy. It's thick. It's like cornstarch that coagulated. Hello and good morning, Falcon Fest. Well, good evening. It's 11:25 p.m. here. I assume you're on the opposite end of the planet. What's this? Cougar says, I had slow smoked barbecue whole chicken with a Cajun garlic butter rub in hickory and cherry smoke. That's a lot of words. With sweet potato. I am a barbecue autistic. A lot of words, but also a lot of deliciousness, I bet. Give me some. My teriyaki comes out almost like motor oil, which means it's perfect. It's like 5W40, yes. I'm in the eastern US, so it's 8:10, 26 a.m. for me. Says Falcon Fresh. I see. Hmm. Kansas City is a great place for barbecue. Oh, I bet. Teriyaki is one of man's greatest inventions. Right? It just works great with tender meat. Makes me curious. Did I ever have beef teriyaki? Thing is with teriyaki, it's a lot of sugar. I cannot have too much of it, lest I risk going into diabetes territory. Not just meat, but it's also really good with steamed veggies. Correct. I have a Korean mart close by, right? And they have all sorts of these fancy sauces. A lot of them are teriyaki based, just with their own spin to it. I usually have it along with my carrots and what other crunchy veggies do I have? Yes. Wow. Oh, okay. Change Twitch about Twitter handle. What is. Oh, that's something I have overlooked in my channel, haven't I? Alright. Settings, channel. Oh, there we go. No wonder my Twitter was not growing. Updated. Ba. Sorry, I was checking things out tab. Give me a moment. Hello, Tian man. Ah, now I'm curious. I see. Well, we're closing that. Sorry, I was out tab. Also, it seems Fluffy has sent me a update on his emoji stickers. Ah, they really got the gradients. Hmm. Now, of course, we gotta replace the light blue guy with yes. Anywho, I've sat long enough. Where were we? I always loved your streams, and I think the music played is a big part of that. Well, I'm glad you like the jazz. I too am a big fan of the jazz. Hard not to. It romanticizes any place, any event, even as one as, well, dreary as this. So yeah, jazz. Why, if it isn't Cinder? Hi there. A pleasure having you here. How are you doing? I could have sworn I saw Strutsky earlier. It's only Bombard that hasn't dropped by and said hello. Probably flying around, you know. Busy as always. Oh, to have wings to take flight. Can you really call somebody with wings somebody who's low in life when they are literally above everybody else by soaring up in the sky? Just a thought. Hmm. Maybe I should listen to jazz as Tian Man. How's your day going? Oh, my day's been going swell. I've gotten my much needed mental restitution, my rest, right? I recovered. And, well, at least recovered to the best of my ability. I've gotten a nice 8 hours of sleep prior to stream, and I have upgraded my social battery by around 10 to 15%. I now tolerate people more. Well, how about you go visit it? Falcon Fresh. It's lovely. Yeah. Yes, no. What is it? Mighty Traung weighed by too much coin. Well, let me help you unburden it. Well, what's stopping you from getting the rest, Falcon? Social battery. I don't know. This one social battery is more of a dynamic thing, really. Sometimes it depletes faster, sometimes it depletes slower, sometimes it gets recharged. It's predominantly really with the company that you have alongside you. Are you with a friend, an acquaintance, somebody you vibe with? Then yes, it'll probably deplete slower. Are you with your best friend, your significant other? Or maybe somebody you're just interested in. Then it's gonna go up. You wish that the day wouldn't end, that they wouldn't like out, that your crush would not disappear before you. Because you are left with the uncertainty on when you can meet again. Ah. So, you make the most of the opportunities presented to you while the person is still there. I'll see you around, Snowball. Passively panda. That's a funny emoji. Just dropping by to say hello, quite literally. A smile, a wave, and a quick depart. Yeah, man says, yes, I have no trouble talking with customers or friends, but out in public, I'm silent and honestly kind of creepy. Well, at least props to you for self addressing that fact. Hmm. When I'm feeling a bit iffy in a public space, I just see myself outside of it. That's simple. Curious if you'd be willing to do some kind of slow dance or something with tracking. A slow dance. I would require two things. One, a partner that I'd like. And two, Money. That's how to persuade me. Money. Cash. Gold. Valuables. Cinder says, a good way to preserve your social battery is to get other people to talk about themselves. That's the thing, though. 9 out of 10 times, I don't want to hear other people talk about themselves because they're just full of crap. Right? Like, oh, please, talk more about yourself. Okay, you know my ex-boyfriend? He's here. I like him. I want to go back with him, but maybe I don't know. And then, like, stop right there. Thank you. I'm good. I'm wondering, are you more social in VR chat than IRL? I don't say I'm the same. How I am in VR chat is how I am IRL, really. Geb is a Khajiit in hiding. Khajiit swears if you have coin. Mm. Nord goes, well, of course, talk about oneself and talk about oneself is two different things. Early Geb stream, this is first. Hello and welcome to the Geb stream. It's rather early, is it not? Okay, that's a lot of emojis. Ooh. Coffee and Geb in the morning. Good morning, New York, or whatever state you're in. Or if you're in Europe, or maybe in Asia, just like me. I wonder if I have any viewers that are in the North or South Pole. That'd be interesting. I see you're more into deep conversation. Most of the time, yes. It's two sides of the coin, really. Deep conversations or 12-year-old humor. I really want to visit Asia next summer. Turn your want into a goal, and from a goal into an execution. I see. I need to get more animated emotes. Gosh, they're just so expensive. Gab, question. Do you like coffee with a little bit of milk or do you... I'm not reading the second part. You almost caught me there. How much deep conversation is too deep of a conversations? I don't know. Usually when people start talking about things I have no interest in, I tell them straight up. Yeah, no, I'm... Next. Skip. Why? Because unlike other people who don't know how to say no, or others who don't know how to tell others to shut up, I actually can. You know how sometimes you're stuck in a conversation with somebody, right? You're sitting down, and then you're just like being polite, like, yeah, like, oh God, when are they gonna shut up? Stop talking. Yeah, very interesting. Like, I don't like that. I just tell them outright. Why waste anybody's time, right? Funny enough, me and Liz, we did have our moments of being deep in conversation. Anyways, that is all. I'm drained from work. Being a waiter in December is exhausting. You go sit and rest. Take it easy, relax, find yourself something cozy to, well, consume or keep yourself company. I'll see you at the end, man. Well, it's all a game of patience then. Get your. Maybe a substitute. It can be hard to come up with something, right? Get a paper, right? Draw your favorite who or what on it. Get two pillows, double sided tape on it. Then makeshift body pillow. The rest of the body, imagination. Starting a conversation is the hardest thing, right? Oh, I should know. Starts a conversation with what's your favorite color? That's a very valid way to start that. You know, I actually appreciate it when people go, tell me their intentions up front. Like, hi, I saw you here and there and was hoping we could have a conversation because I really like you and was wondering if we could click. I would not find that weird at all. I would find that as somebody who knows what they want and are forward about it. A Sunday stream, sir. Early. Well, hello, Reed. Yes, it's a Sunday stream. Now, Strutsky over here is being weird. An example. Don't start conversations with slur. Unless they're your friend, that is. Like Cinder and Strat. Yes. You have a goose plushie that's 160 centimeters in length and a plushie you control like a basketball at your monitor. I don't think one's monitor should be used as a basketball ring unless you have a lot of money and then you can just replace it willy-nilly. If it breaks. Good night, Reed. Get some rest. Does Geb play games? Or is it mostly just talks? I swear Geb has the voice to be just a podcast person and start yapping. Let me go ask. Hey Geb, do you play games? I actually do. Quite the number. I've been into Division 2 as of late because of my friends too. Or do you just mostly do chatting streams? Oh no, I mean yes, because everybody else is doing gaming streams. But chatting ones that are dynamic and cinematic, no, not quite. There, does that answer your question? A podcast, huh? Isn't this essentially the same, plus visuals? As much as I love plushies, I would rather not throw them at my monitor, says Vesper. Correct. I hate socializing, but if you can get me talking about something that actually matters, I can't keep it quiet, like Gundams or video games. Good. The plushie that's throwable is a seal and I'm throwing it like a missile. Very valid. Also, I'm not just throwing at my laptop screen, I call it a monitor. Ah. Don't break it though. I started out doing gaming streams. I was playing Battlefield, I was playing indie games, and then 2 or 3 viewers just wasn't doing it for me. And I could barely notice chat, even though it was just like 3 chatters. I would always end up reading their messages late. So I decided why not just do just chatting streams where I focus on your messages 100%. Face says, yes, sir, thank you. I do admire your whole personality and straightforwardness. If everyone is this way, what do you think would happen to the world? There would very much be less wasted time when it comes to everybody. No sugar coating, no spineless snowflakes roaming around, and things are what they are. That's for sure. I expand the topic any further, I will 110% be cancelled. The Twitter legions. Geb, do you believe in the paranormal? I'm curious to get your take on ghosts and things. I believe in undiscovered scientific elements. There. Everything has just yet to be explained. But when it comes to superstitions, though, those are called stupid stations under my vocabulary for a reason. Look at me. I have a mole on my arm with a singular, big fat follicle of a hair on it. It's sure to bring me luck. If I pluck it out, I'm gonna get bad luck. Okay, Neanderthal, whatever you say. Nord says, and that is the whole deal with Gebo streams. Everybody gets noticed, and that is something that is a big lacking in most places. I try my best. I fear for the day that I get so much chat going on I can't keep up. Actually, that was the case. I used to stream and not just here before, at the same time. And dealing with 100 plus people, all just it was difficult. Especially when the other half was total garbage when it comes to what they're saying. Oh, can you bark? Can you do a backflip? Can I go inside your mouth? Like, what? Congratulations on joining a FurCon. I hope you enjoyed. I can see that happening. Maybe that's the reason for how things are. Yuck. I've seen streams where they have 50k plus viewers and they just completely ignore chat and just game with their friends. I'm like, why am I even here watching? Right? You're there for the gameplay, not the streamer. So I don't understand people throwing so much money at streamers that don't even pay them any attention at all. That's why me, despite me just being a fledgling content creator, I try my best to show the love and care to the community I am slowly building up. And also showing people that I know I won't vibe with out the door that there are tens of thousands of other streamers out there that they could watch instead. Vesper says, yes, a lot of these fellow furries just, my god, have you not heard of not touching strangers? Let alone if that stranger is a lady. You will probably be slapped, but like, hey, come here, let me give you a big hug, butt squeeze and everything. And then it's a total stranger. They only want to do it because you look cute. Don't do that, chat. Don't. Please. You're gonna be. Yes. Personal space. And most importantly, consent, chat. Don't some streamers do some kind of zenny? Zenny? What's zenny? Money? Consent is key. 100%. Always, always, always ask first, chat. Don't just go there because they look cute and because they're another furry, they're gonna accept your nuzzles, globs, boops, and hugs and whatever you have in your degenerate mind of yours. Espe says, don't do that. Absolutely not. I'm already the type to frequent strangers touch my hair as a child and still creeps me out. Strangers used to touch your hair? Yeah, that's big old creepy. I'm gonna tattoo that on me. Touch grass, not ladies. Probably works for the fruitier side of my friends list. Oh, I think that's called Super Chat, Nord. I believe there are a lot of people in chat.
Use this when they want attention by the streamer when there is a lot of people in the chat.
Yes. I need to remove text to speech. I think it's intrusive. It stops me from talking. But yes, I know what you mean, Nord. It's because this chat is so much. They would just pick out the one that stands the most, and normally that's a super chat in like YouTube, for example. So you pay $15 to have your message read. Vesper says, your hair is so pretty. You look like a little princess. Okay, old lady, please let me leave even with a trusted adult next to me. Let's go. Yeah, some dudes at my old workplace always kept poking me or touching me around my waist for fun. Those are called dirty old men. Soup chat. That would just lead to me hitting them eventually, sadly. Good! You show them what's what. Show them they can't always get away with their dirty old little prods. Speaking of which, I shall finally get some food. I'm hungry. Get your food, Vance. Tempting to take another nap. Speaking of hungry, I'm starting to feel the pangs of hunger again. What's this? I went to a special bar and a guy groped me. What's a special bar? Also, kudos on kicking him in the jewels. Curious, did you design someone? No, did you request someone to design your character? Or are these made by yourself? You can find the avatar base made by TokyoZilla over at Gumroad. But everything else, really, it's just my own simple take on visual design. A bits and bobs of handcraftedness, edits, kit bashing. That's all I did. Let's go. Yeah, eventually they stopped. But even when I told authorities after one did some real creepy shiz, they just told me to brush it off because he's just a harmless bum. Uh, yeah, they get away with it, don't they? Good luck with trying to be verified. You know, it's one thing to complain about the creepy behavior of strangers towards you, especially when it comes to unsolicited, non consensual proximity contact. It's another thing to complain about being bitten when you have thrown yourself into a lion's den. The crocodiles are really mean. You went into a crocodile enclosure. There was over 50 of them. What did you expect? You know, there's this thing called this, right? Chances increase exponentially. It's the same as like, oh my goodness, doc, I suffered like, through some cardiac stress. I wonder why. It's because you are not watching your cholesterol. There is this thing called risk management, right? Happy luck with getting verified, says Iron Wolf to the left. I hope to see you on the Discord. Either get it in 1 minute or not at all. Already 2 hours? How quickly time flies. Desk. This has been a nice way to start my morning. Alright then. Gibbs is my favorite morning dog. Yes. I go yap, I talk, I sound like a grumpy oldish man. Annoyed by people but also cherishing them at the same time. I don't know. I'm just really picky about people. Also, if you don't take a shower every day, I don't care what your dermatologist says. Wash those armpits, wash those nether regions, wash your butt. Face says, valid. It's good to be picky on who you let into your life. It's very important. It is. You see a lot of people nowadays they think that in order to be a good person, one must be opening, welcoming, and also inclusive of all of the colors in the crayon box. That's how you get into trouble. That's how you end up being depressed, trying to be nice. The people that don't deserve your kindness. Be picky. Only get the ones that work for you. At the same time, don't force other people to work with the colors that work for you. If you like red and they like yellow, bam, find some other common ground and be friends over that instead. Don't wage wars, debates, and whatnot over it. No, debates are actually welcome. Persuade me that I shall like red more than yellow. Right? Right? It is indeed a good, low-key way to start my day. Good day. What's this? Oprah morning talk show needs to give stuff away to everyone to get view. Geb gives content. I unfortunately don't have anything to give away. I am not a big time rich streamer, chat. I am not one of those bahonka doodly doo bearers that get subs left and right. No. I don't know how other streamers do it. They get thousands of subscriptions. I'm set for like a year if I get like thousands of subs for 2 months. But I'm not one to complain. I'm one to analyze. Sure. But it's okay. Now, what's this? Scrub, scrub, scrub. Especially if you don't want to smell by the next day after you do so much throughout the day, or you don't want your hair all oily, wash daily. It's not difficult, right? Cinder goes, I agree that more people need to get better at setting boundaries. Yes, precisely. One little pet peeve of mine is when people think it's okay to pet another person. Here I am, grooming my hair, right? Brushing it to nice all give affection. And then some randos like, hey, you look nice. And then, shh. Like, shh. What are you doing? Stop it. Just because I'm a furry doesn't mean you can pet me like a dog. What's this? Zyron song is ready in the party of 83. Zyron song, give me a momento. I'm trying to remember that from the VI chat category. Oh. I don't remember. But greetings, hello. What brings you to my little boring corner of the internet? Chat. What was Zyron doing? Gator. I remember you. Weren't you the alligator or croc mama looking figure at the top row of the VR chat streaming category? Greetings. Hello. Actually, let me double check. I might be yapping nonsense. Firefox, confirm my things. Correct. Yep. Mm-hmm. But yeah, hi there. What were you up to? That might be me. It is most definitely you. Nothing quite as scaly and eye-catching than yourself. Also, Liz, thank you for 6 months. Half a year being here, huh? I just came over here from Redbook. Welcome from Red Note. Unfortunately, I cannot stream there as much as I love my Chinese community. I was playing VR chat, just dancing and being gremlins. Just dancing, so still. Okay. Big question. Why here of all places? Just curious, really. Also, thank you again for the raid. I appreciate it. If you or chat needs to rest, because I bet you're poop and just want to decompress, play games, do chores, and whatnot, please. I won't hold it against you. Go do your things. The gator lady. Stratsky says, just because you're a furry doesn't mean you can pet me like a dog, quoted by Geb. No, I redirect them to me. I will redirect it to you and Wask. I've been seeing your content for a while and I love your vibe. My gosh. To be under the eye of another wonderful content creator, I feel utterly flattered. Thank you. Appreciate it. That's all me. What's this? So hopefully that will do, says Lever. I've verified myself in the Discord. Hopefully I've done it right. Otherwise I'm just plain dumb. Hey, well, I suppose that's it. Now type in your introductions. Don't skip it. Hi. My name's Skip. Resident lizard yapper on the internet using VRChat. Hello. We heard of Repo. What's everybody's output towards it? Repo. I played it a few times. Got bored really quick. But in between the times that I was not bored, I had fun. Stratsky likes the coin. I'm painting tiny figures to look like cats of some friends right now. That's adorable. I need to see more of your handicrafts, Litz. Why me? I don't wear a pet me sign yet. Hello, Wask. I didn't know you were here. I was talking about you earlier in stream. I told everybody how you were growing on me really quick. I don't know. It's just the whole dog thing is cute. Like your character. Well, I like your compliment. Thanks. Nothing special here, though. Welcome all the same. Make sure you've made your intro, warns Vesper, because if you don't, I'll catch you by the tail and bonk you. Wask is just so adorable. That's true, Fluffy. Yeah, I'm here kinda. Wask is just doing dog things, stiffing high fire hydrants, marking them. Just not on the rug or couch, okay? Ah, yes. I remember my neighbor's dog. So friendly at first, right? Just does that with the wagging tail and then starts doing the funny dance on your leg where you have to. Yeah, no, stop it. You have a nice accent. Thank you. Marinated, boiled, and slow cooked in the equatorial country of the Philippines, Southeast Asia. Sorry to influence in such a way. I'll see myself out. Do not do the funny dance. You should be worried once you start seeing lipstick and your dog is not a makeup wearer. Wask, your secrets are safe with me. Secrets, very doggy secrets. I wonder. His secret stash of bones, tennis balls. But that's just a wholesome collection. I think Wask is a pretty wholesome character, based on my initial reviews. Hello, Music Hog. Nice to see you again. Welcome. Rosby had an issue with that, so I'd always tell him, put that away. You're telling him to disarm himself when he's red hot and angry, like, I want that stuffed toy. Hold on. Color me curious. Familiar names. You know how sometimes when you inhale cold air, all of a sudden a cough comes along with said inhalation? Speaking of cough, Fluffy, aren't you sick? Shouldn't you be focusing on recuperating? And it is indeed an early day here. It is now the 22nd of December. 13 minutes past midnight here, chat. Christmas. Just around the corner. Well, okay, maybe a few more turns, but you know what I mean. I just napped for 30 minutes. Fell asleep while watching. Yes. Woohoo for naps. You better have a good safe for all my illegal ownings then. Little did we know Wask actually worked as airport security, taking all those funny bags of flour and other baking goods away from would-be criminals. Rusted Rabbit goes, I get to work on Christmas, but hey, that's extra self-gifting money. Self-gifting money. Yes. Oh well. I hope you have good co-workers at least to keep you company. I'm just relaxing in the recovery wing. Wow. I hope you regain more HP sooner than later. Double the recovery value. I'm from +8 GMT, so I'm a teeny tiny bit into the future compared to, well, people from the United States. At least half a day. Ads. Our roommate did give me an early Christmas gift, says Music Hog. A new mousepad. Now I'm trying to find something to give to him. What you need to give him back, you know, it's just you wrap a ribbon around yourself. I am the gift. Do as you please for the, well, okay, maybe not, but okay, wait, that's gonna backfire. A burger never fails. Wask goes, every bag of flour I find is a bag of flour sold on the market, right? Yeah, it's definitely for those, you know, Cuban, Mexican pastries that, you know, is funny. It's funny. It seems like these people like inhaling their cookies. Deconstruct that. Yeah. Man, every time I watch Kev streams, I always get hungry. You were the one going off on the barbecues and the sizzling on the grill. The mmm. Music how it goes. That sounded kind of gay, not gonna lie, but I could try. 100% not gonna do that. You just do it as a joke, right? You gauge their reaction. They're gonna be confused. Like, oh my goodness, are they actually serious about this? It's gonna be funny. Maybe you should make some bulldog. Make sure you put 100% of the spice packets over your noodles. We're gonna have spring rolls for dinner. More Asian cuisine flowing through the guts of the people around you. Yes. Very tender cookies, right? They like the cookies so much. Sometimes the flour is like on their nostrils and whatnot. We'll do Gib and then I'll die. Please. You could out some straight friends pretty quick with that simple move, right? Crispy, juicy, tender. What I really want is some sweet, nicely seasoned ribs, where when you pull it off the barbecue, right, or the roaster, the meat just falls off the bone and then you can just sort of shred it. Oh. I will definitely need my weekly intake of Asian food. Too bad I'm not there. I got lots to feed you. Dumpling, steamed pork buns, noodles, to name a few. Wasp goes, some even grow a mustache so they can save some flour for later. Right? That's true. That's true. Hello, Zoxy. I mean, I make ribs. I'll post the last ribs I made in Discord. You do that. Speaking of crispy, juicy, and tender, I have some leftover barbecue smoked brisket in my fridge. Barbecue smoked brisket. Oh, smoked meat. Smoked meat. Just... delicious. Music Hag wants to simply have a hot chocolate with some marshmallows on top. It's the best thing I could have. Those things are called Swiss Miss. They come pre-packaged. Well, at least that's what we call it here. Sachets of chocolate, right? It's rich. Put some milk and then after that stir, and then you have marshmallows on top. Nordex goes, I bet if Geb made food for me, he would end up making a delicious peanut sauce that would kill me because yes, that is actually how I make my hot pot sauces. So you have your MSG, your minced garlic, your cilantro, yeah, okay, maybe not the cilantro, some diced chives, right? You put satay sauce, some sesame oil, a bit of soy sauce, a tiny teeny dash of brown sugar, some chilies, a bit, to taste. And then what was that last part? Oyster sauce, half a teaspoon. Stir. Delicious. I just realized your eyes are two tones. Have a closer look. Zoom in. This one appears greener because of the shade, right? It's the darker part of my face. But my eyes are actually like this. Better. Schnasso. You're taking off. Oh no, it was a raid. It was flattering, really. It's from a gator lady. She's really, Oh my lord, I love it more. More what? God damn it, I'm getting hungry again, says Fluffy. Well, it's time for you to put something in your mouth yet again. Food. Did I mention it was used as a topping for loaded cheese fries? Carbohydrates and more carbs. Sad for me, cilantro tastes like soap. That's why it's optional. That in a bowl. Please. The allergies will go away. Huh? Oh my goodness. I use galangal more and I use garlic, but I still use it sometimes. I will say, though I've had a massive bag of MSG in my pantry that's gone into the Asian dishes. I mean, MSG that's just makes everything taste better. I use it as a replacement for salt. Good thing I'm heating up leftover food. That's just a common cause of red eye, or should I say green eye. There. Can't see my funny eye anymore. Really hard to see. I can't see the side with my eye closed. Oh well, looks like you have to go level up a little bit more on the Discord. I can't get over how good your face tracking is. My goodness, the hot bodega. The lovely Zyren is still here, gracing us with her presence. Thanks. Listen, unlike you, I don't have, assets per se, so I simply put all the focus up here instead. Yes. Sorry, I even know it's a bad joke. I saw the opportunity. It's okay. Zai, I never really got a chance to look at your content in depth. I am familiar simply because often during streams, I would look at who is streaming at the top, second, and third row of the VR chat category, and I would often make jokes and little pokes of fun towards chat about it. Do you have face tracking perchance? If only I was blessed with the skill of dancing and the camera work, which does all that, I would love to get face tracking. Ever thought about getting the Quest Pro? Second-hand market, $400, $600. Really cheap compared to release. I finally got to see Geb, says Naki Sosak. Naki Sosak. Why does that sound strange to pronounce? Hi there. Did you perchance come from Insta or TikTok? I'm so excited for the Steam frame for face tracking, right? 100 billion% it's gonna have. That port in the middle isn't for nothing. Dancing, camera work, and something that could knock someone out if you turn around too fast, right? Of course, it's a joke. I won a couple of dance competitions, says the Rusted Rabbit. I could teach you stuff. Is that breakdancing stuff you do to dubstep? Okay, breakdancing. I do not want to break anything while I'm dancing, be it my property or my bones. Hmm. But I would gladly simply watch you execute those moves. Hmm. And sorry, but your voice is fantastic. Gosh, showering me with compliments. Now I have to check out your stuff more. Thanks. Huh. It's strange they chose it to be PCIe instead of USB. I don't know, man. Engineers. Naki Sosak means some sucker in my language. That's probably why it sounds odd. All you knacking. Arnold says, Gibbs, after everything, I wish I had more money to just grill all day. I want to have a full spread now. Chicken rubs, baked beans, potato salad, and macaroni salad. All delicious choices. Theoretically, it allows for better access to the hardware, says Automatic. But yeah, kind of an odd choice. There's gotta be a specific reason as to why. You won't break anything, it will just look like a stop motion with an actual person as a clay model. Okay. See, your luck. Go do the things you need to do. Also, my tongue is so dry, I need to drink. Yes, my water. Nope. Hi. Pardon me, I'm just gonna hydrate. Thank you, Vesper. I'm doing the funny thing again. I'm turning around. There we go. So much better. There we go. Back. What's this? Almost saw me doing the tongue thing. That. Gab, I can hear your tongue. No, you can't. I don't know if you know these things they do on grills. It's like pieces of beef stabbed on a stick. In my country, we call them antichuchos. Mean barbecue? Skewers? I gotta go finish my shift. See you around and good luck. You do excellent today. Also, I'm moving around extra because my limbs are getting sore just standing still. So pardon me. Walk. I grew up in the ghetto, says the Rusted Rabbit. Every nationality would show up to a cookout on the street at my place, so I got spoiled as a child. Learning and consuming flavors from Asia, Africa, Mexico, Italy, etc. You name it, we had it. It was always a wonderful time. I miss living there. That's why you start learning how to cook by yourself and recreate these wonderful things. Let's hope it's water you picked up. It's water, 100%. Find the recipe online and then just measure with your heart once you have the ingredients. By measure with your heart, I mean measure with your tongue. Make sure it's not bland. Food that leaves impressions are usually the ones that are really, really tasty. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's true, but having grandma's recipes from 10 different grandmas to recreate is quite the challenge. Oh, I can imagine. Oh. I don't remember the last time I had some of my grandma's cooking. I wonder. What did she used to make me? Let's see. It was a lot of porridge. Rice congee with some chicken broth and boiled chicken in it. It was good. It's delicious. Uh-oh. Why was I giving the charging prompt? Hello? You just need to learn how to mix in that grandma's now. Yeah, you gotta, put that flour in. That's what makes grandma's cooking so good. I still conserve my grandma's recipe book she gave to me when I was 10 years old. Good, protect that thing. Ancient secrets that must not be lost down the bloodline. What's this? Yes. Grandma's cooking is indeed usually the best. If they care about cooking at all.
Towards your Christmas miracle, Arif.
Really, Strat? Thanks. Just for you, if I could, I would put these hands on top of your head and do that. Thank you. Really, thank you. I appreciate it. We stream because we need to raise money, always. I just try not to do it in a greedy fashion. But end of the day, this thing puts food on the table. So you're helping a lot. I appreciate it. Good boy? Does that work as praise? Do not pet the camera. That's true. That's precise. If anything, I really miss my grandma on my dad's side's cooking. Ever since she married her current husband, she's had to dial things down. So bland because he's picky as a toddler and had a diet of one for a long time. Banana mash. Delicious. Damn, just let's damn one. Can't I at least indulge my supporters a little bit? I need to learn to create breakfast empanadas. Ooh, breakfast empanadas. Tonkatsu ramen, spicy sausage pasta, creamy chicken jambalaya, I love that. And a few more things I don't remember the name of. All of these sound like... Well, no, they don't sound like. They are difficult things to make in the kitchen without having the eating time being more than the prep and cleaning time. Look, you gotta pet your people. That's just you. Are you telling me if I come close and pet certain furries, they're gonna give me, you know, the things burdening their pockets, which is called money? If that's the case, I may change my stance on certain things. Only sometimes. I think these things are better done in person. Not through some flat screen. Do not pet wild animals. If you pet me, you might wind up getting a free electric guitar. I don't know. You know what? Fair. In all my stances, petting people with no consent, again, 100%, right? But if they want it and you're getting a specific resource that you need in exchange, business-minded me is like, you know what? Sure, why not? Vesper says, don't pet me, I bite. Okay, you're going to get slapped. By teeth. If you pet me, you better buy me dinner. Yeah, I'm not that cheap though. It'll take more than dinner before you can like ruffle my hair. 2.5 hours chat. I think we have made time, and because my back is starting to ache, a few dollars per chin scratch is a good going rate. At that point, I probably don't need to stream anymore. You're just gonna sit in a corner and like, dude, that looks like such a wrong motion to do. Business is business, right? According to Liz. Who mentioned hair ruffles though? Pets and hair ruffles are a little different, are they? How? No, I'm like, curiously how. I am not as educated on the topic. Are hedgehogs petable? Because I'm one and scrub some poison ivy on my spines. Really? That's interesting. Don't worry, please. These hands are not gonna come into any of you with contacts. I'm not cheap, but $20 is $20. One messes the hair and one presses the hair. I think when I went to the furry hideout, I just had to hold myself back because people were messing the hair. I was like, whew, control yourself, Gab. You're here for training. You're here to teach yourself how to tolerate people more. Let this one slide. Why? Because they drove by and then they drove off. Yeah, but normally just act like how you would in front of another person. Courtesy, decency. Yes, training. Why? Because I have such a low social battery. I quickly get tired being around certain crowds. I figured that if I were to expand my social battery, I would do better on streams, right? Because what do I do on streams? I talk to you for 2.5 hours straight. Do you think that's an easy feat, chat? Keeping a conversation going, all this moving, all this chattering. Yappity yap yap. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're spinning a lot of plates on stream. Nice. Yeah, no, if there's any petting going on, you better not mess someone's hair up. Bro, especially since people put so much time and effort into said hair. I prefer being well groomed if my hair looks like a puff up with how thick it is. It's simply the frizz wisp. Oh my goodness. Feels nice to sit down. It's been a while since I've done a fully standing stream, chat. Oh. This sent me some puss. What is this? That's a jawbreaker on top of some cats? That's cute. Mm. Strutsky says, if you're gonna pet me, you'd better mess my hair. That's a good metric for putting in effort. You know what? That's fair. That makes sense. I don't know what to paint the ball yet, so right now it's just that. It looks like a big giant spear of candy. Let's. Makes notes. Do it, coward. Stretch. Oh, wait, no. I forgot the camera follows me when I lay down. Okay. No stretch. Don't mind me. I'm just out real quick, chat. It seems the old men, Iron Wolf and Nord, are having a grammatical clarification over the dinner part and petting at the Discord. Good luck. Good luck. Vesper, darling, could you please clean up the verified channel real quick? There seems to be a whole lot of clutter. I was debating on a ball of salmon, but that actually looks pretty cute and easy to do. You just have to draw the little stripes, the fish meat. Vesper goes, yeah, the frizz that loves to stick around despite the anti-frizz product I use. Oh. Shucks. Let's see. Oh, no, that's... Who's this?
This one, it's a Japanese character, so I don't know how to say it.
Yep, guess who? Oh, don't mind me. I'm just resting. There we go. Whew. Noted VR pets it is, replies Wask. Not in chat, that's rude. Hmm. Slight hint of risk of death, but yes. From wanting to try pufferfish. What they call it again? There's a specific term for the sashimi from pufferfish. Fugo or something? You have to be extremely well trained with handling pufferfish. Yeah, fugu. You know we're extending stream again, right? Fugu, it's very bland. Then why would you spend so much over there? Let's see. I see donuts. Yep, I see donuts in the lurkers list. Disc. Trying to hide despite that super long tail. I see it. I see it. And chicken costs so little, yet has all the flavor. Right. It could be your last meal, and if it's a bland man, how bored? Exactly. I wouldn't want to go that way. Alright, listen, chat. Today was simply supposed to be an experimental stream. I did not expect to, persist as long as I have today. Thanks to you sticking around. I'm frankly surprised there was so much. But alas, I have to go retire into some not otherworldly gasoline station. It's yeah, just not here. This was fun. Thank you for streaming. Today's stream is over the average. Definitely. Yes. Strutsky, thank you. You win VIP. You get free special. I don't want to say it. You get free special pets if I ever see you in VR. Just once. I rarely ever do that. But because it's your first time giving, you shall receive. Now, what now? I'll be in VR chat for a little bit, probably, and then I will go rest and yes. No rest, of course. So with that being said, Strutsky, let's music hug, rabbit vesper nord, automatic. Who else is in chat that I can read it? A waffle carp, wask, and let's. That's it, really. Zoxy. Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I'll see you next time. I will most likely stream day after tomorrow. This week's stream schedule is a little bit more shuffled because I streamed today, so I'll see you when I see you, alright? I appreciate you so much. With that being said, and me finishing buttering up chat, I will have to go. Okay? You be good or bad, whatever morality you align with. Bye bye. Much love. See ya.